folks, I've not even looked at the scores of the doors yet. I don't know who's picked what. I've not done it, but I'm going to do it in the next couple of hours. It's getting on a little bit now. You can see the lights on. I'll try not to wear the glasses for this one so you won't get it all shining back at you. Right, I said yesterday that what I might do is I might look at going through a couple of angles with you for Cheltenham that you may or may not do already. I would imagine most of you don't. I'm going to give you a couple of pointers to a couple of bets that I'm going to have next week and the way I'm going to do things. Because there might just be one or two of you there thinking, well, that's not a bad idea. That's all right. I'll give that one a go. Right, I've got three different angles that I'm going to look at next week. One of them I do every single year. It's with Betway. I don't know if any of you is with Betway. And then I'm also going to mention the ITV7 place pot. And I'm also going to mention the jackpot. I wouldn't imagine many of you do the jackpot. I don't tend to because it's really, really hard to get up. It's obviously the first 6 races at Cheltenham each day, and you've got to have the winner in each, which is very, very difficult. But I've got an angle in, especially for Monday and possibly even for Friday of the festival. Sorry, not Monday, Tuesday and the Friday of the festival. They're the 2 days that I'm going to look at. But let's go first with Betway. Many of you might know, and you may not, that they have one of their own bet clubs, a bit like the Sky one. You put 30 quid on with Sky and I think you get a £5 free bet, or that's what you used to get. Betway do something where if you have a £25 multiple, I think it's got to be a treble, minimum treble, I think, you get £10 in free bets. The way they work is you do a £25 multiple, and then on the Saturday after you've put your bet on, you get a £5, and the following Monday you get another £5. I do think you have to use it in multiples, I'm pretty sure you do. But there's no restrictions, I don't think, on the prices that you have to put them in on, or in at. The £25 initial multiple, however, there is a restriction. I think you've got to have combined odds of 3-1 or greater, I think, to qualify for the tenner. So I've done this bet every Cheltenham for the last 4 or 5 years now with Betway. What I tend to do is, there's 2 ways of doing it here. I go match bets with horses. You know I do that, folks. I've said that many times, and many of you might not do match bets. But let me tell you the way it works with a multiple like that, the way it can be, I believe, beneficial. I'll do a match bet treble on day one. And normally what I'll do 1 or 2 things. I'll either go for the 3-1, and to get a 3-1 or in a 2-horse match bet, I'll do 2 horses at 2-1 on, 1-2, and I'll do an horse at 5-6. A 5-6 match bet is where the bookies think it's neck and neck as to who will win that match. The 1-2 are obviously they greatly favour the 1-2 shot. What I'll try to do, I'll put 3 horses on and I'll try to look at ideally hurdle races at Cheltenham on day one. Obviously you've got the Champion, you've got, is it the Mares? I think there's at least one more there. And the reason I do that is I'm not looking for fallers. I'm looking at trying to find the best horse of 2. Ideally in hurdle races you don't get fallers or you get very few. So with a bit of luck I'm at least going to get to the finish line. And if I get to the finish line and I'm right, my judgment's right and I've got the best horse, I'm going to win the bet. So what I'll do, I'll either go 2 at 1-2 and 1 at 5-6 and hope it comes in. Now it's only going to pay 3-1. But I've put 25 quid on. It's a good few quid, getting me money back as well. If I come in at 3-1, I've got 100 quid, and I'm also getting me 10 a free bet. Now, what I'll do with that 100 quid is, I'll do that over the next 3 days. I'll think, well, I never had that money before. I've only done it because it's not quite a free bet. You're putting 25 on to get 10 back. It's not quite a free bet. You're losing 15 quid. But I do it because I'm putting 2 at 2-1 in there, 2-1 on. I think, although they can get beat, the only one I'm really worried about is the 5-6 shot. It's a 50-50 ball game. I'm thinking if I can get that bet up, it's give me 100 quid that I wouldn't have had, including my stake. I've got 3 more days to Cheltenham to go, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It gives me a £25 multiple on each of the 3 days. And that's the way I'll normally play it. What I might decide to do on day one is go for 3 at 5-6, which pays I think about 5-1. With my stake back it's giving me 150 quid. On days 2, 3 and 4 I'll put 25 quid on a day. And I know even if every single bet goes down, I'm 50 quid in front plus my £10 free bet. I think it's a pretty good thing. I think Betfair are doing something this year whereby maybe if you put a tenner multiple on £10 multiple, they either match it, £10 free bet, or they give you a £5 free bet. I might look at that. But I like the Betway one. And with Betway, you'll normally find at Cheltenham in every race they'll have 2 to 3 different match bets. So you can pick and choose what you want there. But I think that's not bad. I think worse than now, if you just do it for one day and your 25 quid goes down, you're getting a tenner back, you're only going to lose 15. which I know it's a lot of money and a lot of you might not put 25 quid bets on, but I think it's worth looking at. And as I say, if you do get it up, to my mind, it gives you the £25 bet for the following 3 days, which ultimately isn't really coming out your pocket, and you're getting a tenner at the back end. I think it's not bad. That's one thing. The other thing that I'd look at if I was yourselves is I'd look at the ITV7 place pot. I mean, I shouldn't be telling you that. Well, I should be telling you because it gets more in the pot, but I'm not going to say exactly how I do it. I do it all the time. I've had a few decent losses on that bet, and I've had a few good wins. I mean, on Saturday, I think it paid only about £2,000. No, it must have paid more than that. I had it to about 16 pence because I do lots of lines, lots of horses. Now, I put a few quid on, but I ended up coming away with about 540 quid. So after I took my stake out, don't get me wrong, I put about 40 quid on, I'll be honest with you. But I was 500 quid in front. And I often do well on there because the ITV7 place pot, you don't get as many playing it as you do the normal place pot. But I think many of the people that do play it aren't as clever as some of the place pot and jackpot players. But as well as that, many fall flat on the face because of that 7th leg. Because of that 7th leg, it's like anything else. It's easier to get 5 legs up than it is to get 6. It's easier to get 6 legs up than it is to get 7. And that's why there's less winners. Now, I think all that was in the pool on Saturday was about 6.5, £7,000. Yeah, I still caught 500 odd quid of it. Now, you'll normally find at Cheltenham, they never boosted the ITV7 one, or they've never thus far. They'll often boost it 1 place pot a day, which will be the Cheltenham one. And sometimes I've known them boost the jackpot. The jackpot at the moment is guaranteed 10 grand every day. I think they might put a boost on that one because it's Cheltenham. But even if they don't, it's very, very rare, if ever, that the jackpot goes above 10 grand any day unless there's been a rollover. When there's rollovers, it can go into 40, 50, 60, 80, 90 grand. But if you look at the jackpot on a daily basis, and I'm digressing here, I know, it'll always be 10 grand and then it'll get one. It might not get one for a couple of days and they might roll 2 or 3 grand over, but it takes a few days for it to get above 10 grand. When it gets above 10, that's when it gets bigger, and sometimes it gets massively big. At Cheltenham, it'll definitely start as a guaranteed 10 grand, I would imagine, but if enough people put enough money in, it might be 12, 14, 16 grand on day one. What that means is if it rolls over to day 2, it'll be a hell of a lot more than that on day 2. More about that one in a moment. But the ITV7 place part, so as far as I know, they never guarantee anything. So it's just whatever goes in there. They never have a bump up on it. I wish they would, but they don't. So anyway, I win reasonably regularly. Sometimes it doesn't pay a lot. You'll get the odd meeting where it's favourites everywhere, and because I'm doing multiple horses, I'll end up losing. I might win, but I'll end up losing. I might put 40 quid on, I might only get 12 quid back or whatever. So I'll lose pretty regularly. But the big wins I've had on there more than make up for what I lose. Now, there's a strategy here, which is why I've mentioned the ITV7 one too, yeah. It's all about looking for bankers. You ideally want a banker in one race where you know you're going to get in the first 3. That way, in other races, you can go for the odd more selection. If you can get a banker in, say, 2 races, if you can get 1 horse in race, say, race 1, maybe 2 horses in race 2, you're only looking at 2 on your stake, whatever your stake may be, say it's 10 pence, 2 tens, only 20 pence or whatever else. Now you're going to have more horses in the other legs, and that'll all pump it up. But in an ideal world, definitely on 1 leg, but in an ideal world on 2 or 3, you want very few selections in 2 or 3 legs. Now the reason I'm saying look at the ITV7 place pot is, as I say, there's never as much in there in the pool. But the wins often, if you get a couple of races without favourites in, it's amazing how many get knocked out of the place pot altogether because it's 7 legs. Some of the payouts are really, really good. So it's really worth having a look at. You don't have to, folks, but it's worth having a look at. That takes me now to the jackpot. The jackpot, as I say, is a bet it's guaranteed 10 grand pot every day of the week. They do that every single day. But it's so hard to get. It's unbelievable. It really, really is hard to get. But I think I've got an angle on it on day 1, and it's worth looking at. On day 1, this is how I've decked it out. This is what I see. I'm assuming, and I know we can be wrong, but I'm assuming if anything like the real Constitution Hill turns up, it wins. Now, there is the ointment, the ointment that in the flame in the fire ointment, whatever it's called. Now, with Elliot declaring his horse, many are thinking it can beat Constitution, and maybe it can. but we're basing that on just one performance against Stateman, who definitely underperformed. And I think many are forgetting that when the Elliott Animal came last year to Cheltenham, it didn't exactly cover itself in glory. If Constitution's anything like, you'd expect it to win. Let's assume it does. I know it may not. Let's assume it does. You've already then got one leg of your jackpot up. You need 5 more legs. I believe in the Arkle. I believe it's a cakewalk for the Mullins horse as long as it stands up. I've got an issue sometimes with some of its jumps, but then again, it seems to go through the odd fence and it corrects itself really quickly. Nothing ever seems to get taken out of it and it just runs on. A few bad jumps don't seem to affect it, but you and I both know it's jumps. When all said and done on jumps racing, anything can fall, and they do say the fences at Cheltenham are a lot harder to negotiate than some, as I think Galopin found out a few years ago. So even the best jumpers can come a cropper. But I believe if Madgeburgh stands up, it wins. If I'm right, there's 2 legs of your jackpot done and dusted. For leg 3, I thought, well, in the mares, all brighter days of Gordon's, it just can't get beat. Especially if Lossiemouth goes for the champion like I thought it would. I thought it just can't get beat. I know it got beat last year, but in the mares, surely this year it's going to clean up. The best we've got over here is Golden Ace, which beat it last year, but it's looked nothing like the same animal this year. I thought, it's nailed on for it. So I'm thinking, well, I've got 3 legs sorted before I start. I've got 3 legs of the jackpot, and if they all stand up, they all win. I'm only looking at 3 more legs. Now, things have changed because the Elliott one's been rerouted to the champion. But many are saying Lossiemouth might now go for the mares. Now, I'm still not sure it will. Maybe today somebody's come out that is. I've not looked at any racing news today. But if it doesn't, again, you would imagine, you don't know, but you would imagine Lossiemouth wins. Now, it may not, but let's assume Lossiemouth goes for the mares, and let's assume it does. We've got 3 legs tied up. Done. Bang, bang, bang. We've got 3 more to go. Now, what I would suggest is in leg 4, not leg 4 as it comes out, but 3 legs are done. There's 3 more legs to go. So let's say legs 1, 2 and 3 that haven't got those 3 horses in there. In leg 1, you go for 5 horses. Leg 2, you go for 5. Leg 3, you go for 5. 5, 5, 25 and 525. You put 10 pence on, you're looking at 12.50. 20 pence on, you're looking at 25 quid. If the jackpot pays out, it's only to 10 grand. There's a chance, because those 3 legs have all come in, it may not pay a lot. It might only pay 500 quid, it might only pay £1,000. But if it pays £1,000 and you've put £12.50 on, you're going to cop 100 quid. Now you think, well, why would it pay £1,000 when 3 have come in that are odds-ons or were fancied? Believe it, it can do, especially if in the other 3 legs, a couple of the legs are won by, say, 5-to-1 shots. You might get 2 5-to-1ers and you might get a 20-to-1er. It just kicks everybody out. You'll be surprised what happens with the jackpot. If the other 3 legs aren't all favourites, and especially if there's a couple of bigger price ones, and I'm thinking if you go 5 in each race, you could go for a favourite, you could go a third favourite, 3 outsiders. You need a bit of luck, of course you do. But you're only putting on £12.50. That's assuming you went to 10 pence. Who's to say you couldn't find 3 runs of the other races? I think it's worth doing, folks, and I'm going to do it. I'm definitely going to do it. Whether it'll be to 10 pence, 20 pence, 30 pence, I don't know. I'm going to go for those 3 as bankers if Lossiemouth goes for the mares. If it doesn't, then I'll pick 2 in the mares. I don't know what they'll be. I'm hoping Constitution beats the rest and thinking it might. And I'm hoping Madgeburgh stands up, and I think if it does, it wins. So to me, I've only got 3 legs to go. I probably won't do the jackpot on the Wednesday, Thursday, because it's really hard. But I would imagine on one of those days, if not both of those days, it doesn't get run. And I would imagine it's going to roll over. By the Friday, there could be something like 30 or 40 or 50 grand in the pot. Then what they do, the tote, they call it seed in the pot. Insiders at the tote bet on it themselves. They do it themselves. They get paid, they share the money out. Hard to believe, but it's true. There's been a big kerfuffle about it 18 months ago in the Racing Post. But they put loads of money in. 10 minutes before the off, you might see 40 grand in the pot. At the off, there might be 120 grand in the pot. Seriously, it could be that big. What I'm looking at day 4 is this. I think Galopin, as long as it stands up, wins the Gold Cup. I think it's a toying cost between East India and La Lamba for the Triumph. I think I'll do both, although I think East India looks a good thing. Again, if I can find one more horse in the other 4 races that I think will win its race, then I might only have to be looking at 3 races where I'm picking 4, 5, 6 horses in each. And this time I'm going for a really, really big pot. So there are a couple of things worth thinking about, folks. They're probably things you wouldn't normally do. There might be things you might not do. But just one of you off here might do one of those bets and win a nice few quid. I might be saying next Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday, I'll tell you what, Grumps, I'm glad you went through that. I've got the jackpot up. I've won a couple of grand. I hope one of you does, folks. I hope one of you does. It'll be great. And that's it. There are a couple of angles that I'm going to explore next week. It's just a bit different from a double on a couple of fancies, a couple of favourites, or a nice each-way poke, or an each-way double. You know, it's just something different, something you might not normally do, but hopefully I've explained it well enough that you can see the advantages of maybe at least considering those 3 options, which is the match bets to get a tenner, and hopefully giving you enough to do the match bets all week with the bookies' money. The ITV 7 play spot, honestly, it can be a goldmine. And the jackpot, especially for day 1 and day 4, I think it's worth looking at. I'm certainly going to look at it. I'll definitely be on the jackpot on the Tuesday, absolutely no doubt about it. Will I win it? No, probably not. But I'll give it a go without a shadow of a doubt. Right, I'll love you and I'll leave you, and I'll catch you later for scores on the doors. If you like the video, let me know. If you don't, let me know. If there's other folk that bet on horses that won't know this exists and whatever else, send it to them. We might just get somebody, even somebody that's not viewed on it before, having a go on the jackpot or the play spot and winning a few quid. I'd love to find out what they have. I really would. It'd make my day next week.